Alright, boom. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Thought Show. It's your host with the most, King Truth, Legendary, Benny Bud, I want the word, I want the flow.
By the time Halloween had rolled around, the house was already boarded up. Nobody moved in after them either. Last I heard, it got condemned.
We coming at you live, man, at 9:56. It's going to be Trevor Wolves talking about Lil Jeff's best friend trying to fight Little Bibby, man.
My friends and I didn't really talk about it much after this, not really. Everybody who was there that night, me and the other boys, we stayed close. Anybody who talked way too much shit. I always checked my doors. I always listened for the click of a lock. I became a bit of a hermit, and honestly, I kind of prefer it this way.
Like I said, man, it's gonna be Lil Bibby getting into an altercation with Jeff's best friend. And yeah, man, so Little Jeff's best friend.
I only ever went to one sleepover and
got into it with Lil Bibby, man. Charlie Ross breaking it down. And then we got going over to Adam and Blue, man. Appreciate everybody liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hit the notification bell so I know y'all there so I can throw it to you in the air. Follow me on Kick, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Discord, hype the video. Follow me on IG. Let's get to 4,000, y'all. Get the likes up. Let's go.
Wiry dude with a loud mouth and this fake confidence that somehow worked for him. He knew every cheat code for every PlayStation game and could spit like 8 feet straight up in the air.
Where it felt like O Block just had it. They had the game in their hands. Okay, and maybe after the passing of King Von, we kind of saw the passing of the mantle to OTF. It's like Lil Durk and the OTF crew. They had the rap game in an absolute chokehold. But now I feel there was a time in Chicago drill music where it felt like O Block just had it. They had the game in their hands. Okay, maybe after the passing of King Von, we kind of saw the passing of the mantle to OTF. It's like Lil Durk and the OTF crew. They had the rap game in an absolute chokehold. But now I feel like if there's one crew that really just are like super current, super legendary, and super respected in Chicago, you know, it's Bloodhound. That's the gang. You know, that's hard, all right? Bloodhound Lil Jeff, Bloodhound Q50, Relver. These are the guys, these are the names that are synonymous with this new movement of just very hard drill music, very diabolical crash outs, applying pressure in the streets. It's actually crazy what Bloodhounds have been doing. Unfortunately, Bloodhound Lil Jeff did pass away, and, you know, that was just, you know, a crazy time last year. Is last time, you know, everybody was just trying to get to the bottom of what was going on with Bloodhound Lil Jeff and how it all went down. But Bloodhound Lil Jeff, he's really getting his respect. You know, a lot of people feel like he really is one of the biggest artists that kind of really made a big impact as far as the Chicago streets and the gangster stuff goes. And, you know, he's really getting his flowers. I mean, I've just seen this, okay? Apparently the boy Future, okay, possibly one of the most prolific Atlanta artists in the rap game, period. Even he's shouting out Lil Jeff in a new snippet. Now I'm going to play you a tiny little 2 tiny second snippet, and hopefully that don't get me claimed, but if it does, it's L. Okay, but hopefully you get to hear this because he shouted out Bloodhound Lil Jeff in this new track. Listen to this. He said he's smashing this thought listening to Bloodhound Jeff wearing all of his chains. And people on Reddit are saying Future really shouted out Lil Jeff in a recent snippet. I never would have imagined this stuff. They're saying, I know Q50 was smiling when he saw Future shout out Jeff. They're saying he was smiling like a real demon, okay? They're saying it's crazy since they're saying that Jeff killed Trey Trey. But I don't even know about that whole situation, but we ain't really onto that. They're saying, so was that Trey Trey dude FBG, like Future artist, or FBG from the Burbs? People are saying that Future and them really knew Trey Trey. I'm going to have to look a little closer into this Trey Trey situation for you guys, okay? But that's not what this video is about. People are saying we need a Q50 and Future song immediately. I would like to see that as well. But there's a lot of crazy stuff that's been going on, man, because one of the best friends of Lil Jeff, okay, another legendary rapper who's really making a name for himself in Chicago, Relver, all right, he's been making some moves and he's having a lot of drama popping off today, okay? Now, Relver, okay, Vert79, he's kind of, you know, been tapped in with the Bloodhounds. Some people are saying he's Bloodhound. Other people are saying he just be around them. I don't want to put that too many jackets on him that we ain't got to put on him. But he posted a picture with Lil Jeff. He said, don't call folks your brother if you ain't bust a brain with him. Real savage, okay? So he's saying he was out there busting brains with Lil Jeff. all right? And I'm not one to not believe him. Okay, I'll take his word at that, all right? Okay. So basically, all right, me and Relver, okay, we actually had our differences, okay? He hit me up asking for $500. He said because I did a video about him, I owed him $500. Not even a video about him, but more just like videos about Jeff. And I said, I clapped back, kind of taking the piss a little bit. I said, I can't do that, man. It don't feel right. I don't want the money to go to funding the war and perks. I'm going to do something positive for the city instead. And I was trolling, man. I made a $500 donation to Chicago Cred. I think that was the charity that I sent money to after this, man. And this was kind of like a funny little back and forth that we had, okay? But I really don't, I really don't want to have anything bad to say about Lil Durk, okay? People were kind of laughing at that. And then Vert clapped back. He said, Traplaw Ross, I just made you donate $500. You old, you goofy. You owe us 10,000 more. Now, I don't think I owe you 10,000, but okay, in this video, I'm going to be very respectful and I'm gonna be very positive. I'm going to say nothing but positive things about Rel Vert because he is having a lot of motion, okay? He has had a lot of songs with Jeff and other people like Lil Scoom, that have had a lot of views. This track, Wreck to LA, it's got 14 million views. So this guy's got real motion in the industry, man. He's got a huge vlog with Brandon Buckingham that's got 4.9 million views. Like, that is actually some insane numbers, okay? The track with Lil Jeff Stretch, 4.7 million views. FTO, 2.9 million views. Q50 and Big Op and Relvert Go. This song was a banger, okay? That one's pushing like 2.5 million views, and then we'll get into his solo stuff, all right? 2.3 million views on his solo song Chasing. So Relvert's having a lot of motion, man. I ain't got nothing bad to say about Relvert. 1.5 million views on what it was, his solo track, all right? I'm giving him the free promo package, all right? I don't owe you 10K, but you know what I'm saying? I'm giving you 10K's worth of virtual promo for now. Okay, that's what we're gonna say. Three throw. All of these songs, we only all of that scrolling, and we're only just getting to songs that don't have 1 million views on it. And you know these are coming. This was dropped just 6 months ago. So massive respect for Relvert for everything that he's achieved. You know, he's turning his life around. He's really making a positive difference. And allegedly, he signed a very big and lucrative record deal, okay? He's getting to the bag in the industry. You don't need no 10K from me, bro. You signing a deal. I need 10K, bro. Give me 10K for this promo, right? Rel, like, come on, man. Let me get a little piece of that record deal. I don't know what he signed for. People were kind of making fun of him in the comments. They were saying $10,000, 360 deal, 5 perks and a gallon of tris. Other people were saying a bit more realistically, 250,000 to 500,000. People saying it's a loan, basically. The label, the plug, they front you the money and you got to invest it to make profits and be debt free. You know, I feel like what's interesting, people are saying it's probably 750,000. Even if he didn't, you know, people saying $500,000, 250,000, it's definitely for some good money. People saying Q50 ain't signed for $1 million. I could see Q50 signing for $1 million or even more than $1 million. But if the deal's worth $1 million, you don't necessarily get all that. You got to invest that back into yourself. But hopefully Vert is making the right moves. But unfortunately, I don't know whether he signed to Lil Bibby, all right? Lil Bibby, the legendary, you know, No Limit native who was instrumental in the rise of Juice WRLD. Okay, him and G Herbo were kind of going back to back. They was a duo at one point. This legendary song, Kill Stuff, I'm going to say Kill Stuff, okay, with G Herbo and Lil Bibby. They really had the streets of Chicago. They put No Limit on the map, all right? And they really did their thing. But at a certain point, okay, it seemed like Herbo went legit. He went, you know, the rapper route, and Bibby went legit in a different way, and he basically kind of just took it to the next level as far as being a mogul, being an executive, and all of that kind of stuff. And he's been signing a bunch of people. I believe that he did some kind of deal. I don't know whether this was before or after Lil Jeff passed away, but you know, a lot of the music that Lil Jeff has released appears to be kind of you know, licensed to the label under Bibby's label. I believe that Lil Bibby is instrumental in Q50's deal. But unfortunately, it seems like there's been some tension between Relvert, Lil Bibby, and AMF Visuals, who obviously is a legendary, you know, not just videographer, but also somebody that actually has been working really hard behind the scenes to get these guys forward in the industry and do a lot for their careers. But apparently, okay, there's been unfortunately a little bit of tension between Vert and Bibby, and Vert has called out Lil Bibby and challenged him to fisticuffs, all right? Fisticuffs at dawn. I know that's the English way of saying a shootout on the Bloodhound block, but, you know, we're going to keep it PG in this video. But he really called out Bibby, man, and this was I couldn't believe what I was seeing with this one, man. I don't know how this is going to affect them deals going forward. Maybe he signed to someone else, but this was crazy. Look at this.
Tension brewing between you and Bibby and AMF. What's going on with that?
Niggas soft as hell. That's all. Niggas soft as hell. And look, we can set up somebody set up a celebrity boxing match with me and Bibby. I want to beat his ass. For real, you laugh, like I'm gonna beat his ass. Like tell him, like, tell people we can set up a celebrity box, we can do it. Y'all.
So there you go. He's saying, I want to set up a celebrity boxing match. I want to fight Lil Bibby. He's not feeling it, okay? And people are hating him in the comments. They're saying Bibby going to overbeat his ass. You know, they're saying he got a rematch Fatso first. They're basically hating on him, okay? People saying, don't buy the hand that feeds you. People saying you don't know what's going on behind the scenes to make him say that, though. They're saying it's the music industry is getting screwed over. All a contract is from a label is a loan. You sign for 100K, you owe 100K in performances, appearances, or whatever to recoup that 100K. The labels and distributors always gets the lion's share, and the artist always feels slighted because people are making more money off his work than he is. It's a story as old as music. Everyone signed to the Irish vampires off sinners in the industry, okay? People say, I'm not going to lie, everyone talking like Bibby and them got them popping, but in actuality, Bloodhound don't need Bibby and them for real. Sign into him and do nothing but slow them down, in my opinion, okay? They're saying Bibby got him in the death row contract, so I guess maybe he's unhappy with the deal. Maybe the deal was with Bibby. And they're saying, and you have it, folks. Bibby finna shelve them Bloodhound dudes. They better be smart and go and start networking and getting other stuff lined up, because beefing with your label is a dumb decision, and it's going to hurt them all in the long run. People saying, I kind of agree, but no one he's signed is making any noise like them. I know they're bringing in money. People saying, what money? They can't do shows. The money's showing down. I heard they got 60K for a show in St. Louis. They didn't even have to play that show. But I'm joking, okay? They're saying, well, basically, right, there's a whole bunch of backstory to that. Now, Bibby actually clapped back in a comment, okay? Bibby basically clapped back, and he said, drugs are bad, people. And Rico Reckless got a little beef too. He says, tell him fight me. You know I can. He said, you know I can't fight. Tell him fight me. And Vert said, we kill dudes like you. But Lil Bibby in there saying drugs are bad. Even Big Op, I don't know if that's the real Big Op, but Big Op's commenting, crying. Obviously, they got a song together, okay? And then Bibby's posted it again. Who knows if this could be fake promo to try and get a little bit of motion for the label, or it could be genuine. But he's saying, I don't know what they're putting in them yerks, but it can't be good. It's playing with your head, man. And some people have clapped back saying, yeah, Bibby should have been saying stay off drugs when Juice WRLD was popping 11 yerks in a day. But apparently Bibby begged him to go to rehab. That does seem a little bit different to, this image that's circulating of apparently a handful of pills. Lil Bibby saying, Lil Bruh, a real junkie at Juice WRLD. So, that was shot on a potato. But yeah, basically, Bibby's clapped back. I mean, I feel like for an executive in his position, I don't know why... that's a crazy comment. They're saying he fried Rico. Like, I don't know why they're beefing like this. People are hating on Bibby in the comments, but maybe this is some promo. Now, to be fair, and no disrespect to Rel Vert, I rock with Rel. I like his music. I rock with Vert. I like his music. I like what he's doing. But he himself named his mixtape. His mixtape is called The Hardest Junkie Out. Okay, so I don't feel like it's necessarily disrespectful to say I'm not even going to call him a junkie, but he dropped a tape called Hardest Junkie Out. This is a real mixtape that's dropped. It's on Spotify, right? He said he's the hardest junkie out. He's the one that made it clear, all right? And, he's been on IG Live numerous times, sniffing perks like all the other Bloodhound members. Check this one out, man.
I'm going real out there.
I ain't going to show the whole thing, but you're going to see what he's on from the start of this, okay? So really, like, he himself said he's the hardest junkie out, and he's out here doing junkie behavior, so I feel like it's only fair.
Play with my heart, I'm going to relapse with 500 hoes. Hey, 50 got my chain, y'all, if y'all ask. 50 got my chain. So I'm thugging like this to right now. Hey, grab the card, bro. Play with my heart, I'm going to relapse with 500 hoes. I just gave Swerve a perk. I got nothing, man. Hand me doing what's name.
He's crushing up the perks. He's saying, I done gave Swerve a perk. Like, this is what he's on. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Bibby ain't lying, but also, like, it would be good to see Vert kind of get off the drugs and get clean and maybe, see what his career looks like with a little bit more focus. But at the same time, a lot of these guys, the drugs are a big part of their creativity. And, clearly he feels like, he clearly feels like this is something that maybe is part of his lifestyle. Obviously, those guys are dealing with a lot of trauma. Bloodhound, Lil Jeff getting killed. There's been numerous other people from both sides that have lost their lives. Clearly been in some really traumatic situations. But yeah, this isn't the way, man. He got like a little statue he's using to crush up the perks, and he's dusting it off the bottom. And look, I know he's dealing with a lot of trauma, right? So look at this Reddit post. He's clearly going through a lot. He's posting his people that have passed away or got locked up. He's saying, I miss you all. People are saying, I feel for Vert. So, a lot of people turn to drugs, man, when they're going through a lot of situations. They're trying to numb the pain they're going through. So I do have sympathy, for what he's going through. And you know, basically it is kind of sad. Now I do feel like Vert actually has a lot of potential in the rap game, even though the behind the scenes antics maybe aren't necessarily the best thing. People are saying that Vert and Quando Rondo's cousin apparently have a song that they're going to drop together. Okay, this is WAP, who is apparently Quando's cousin. They're saying he's about to drop a song with Vert, and a lot of people are saying Vert's trying his hardest to get near YB. He's trying to network that whole side for real. But that's a smart move, man. If Vert can actually get his hands on a YB feature, that's going to be the biggest thing. He's saying, see, when was trying to network a bad thing? You guys just hate Vert, right? And say, why wouldn't he try and network like the biggest rapper in the world? Like right now, you'd be too invested. They're saying that's his blood brother. I don't know if they're talking about Quando's blood brother. They're saying the whole thing of the rack supposed to be against YB because Von was from there is so stupid. Like half of them dudes don't even like Von or don't care about him dead or alive. Like I didn't ever see any kind of connection between the Bloodhounds and Lil Jeff and Von and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, they're saying it's actually Quando's blood brother, not his cousin. But you know, basically, I just feel like, look, I don't know if the beef between him and Bibby is real. I respect Vert. I really respect Q50. I feel like Q50 is one of the most exciting kind of musical prospects coming out of Chicago right now, and he's got a crazy backstory. But you know, I do feel like if everybody's not careful, you know, these guys are way too loose with the yerks. They're way too loose with the crushed up pills, all of that stuff, bro. And it's all well and good, you know, you in the streets, you're trying to defend yourself in the streets, but you know, you could mess around and go out on an overdose, man. And we really don't want to see that because you guys have got so much potential. You know, me and Vert had our little back and forth. We had a little viral moment, but realistically, bro, I got nothing but respect for Vert. I feel like he's doing positive things for his career. You know, hopefully he can navigate some of the hardships that he's gone through, some of the pain, some of the losses that he's, you know, had to deal with in ways maybe beyond the drugs. And even Bibby, you know, Bibby's clowning him, saying drugs are bad. And look, okay, he's trying to diss him and be disrespectful, but maybe there's a way that we could see over time. You know, Vert might be able to get clean. He might be able to make some more music that maybe just has a little bit more of a, like an emotional connection with his real side off the drugs. And I'd be really curious to see that, man. I'm doing nothing but supporting Relver, you know, the Bloodhounds, Q50, everybody from over there. Like, I really love the music. Anytime you guys drop, I'm always super vested, super interested in it. And you guys, you're getting Bloodhound, Lil Jeff's getting shouted out by Future. So you are on the radars of the biggest people in the game. So I'm saluting the Bloodhounds. I'm praying for them. I don't know if Lil Bibby's running a little promo campaign, if they've really got some beef. I don't know if, you know, I don't know if Vert's quite in the tax bracket to have a fist fight with Lil Bibby, because I know Lil Bibby be getting to the bag. He'd be riding Rolls Royce all the time. I'll be seeing, you know, what he'd be doing on little posts that have gone around over the years. So yeah, hopefully this beef doesn't get out of control. But I want to see the Bloodhounds win, man. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You think it's a fake beef? You think they're really going to have a boxing match? I doubt it, but hey, who knows, man? This social media game, it gets crazier every day. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm going to take a little break. I'm just going to basically get a few topics together. I need to work on this main channel video because I know I've been slacking on the main channel in the last few months. I'm about to make something on the main channel that's going to go crazy. I will give you more information about that soon, but I'm so excited for what's coming, man. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you check out the full 6ix9ine interview. We're basically moving on from that in the next couple of days, but it has been absolutely crazy. And just thank you for everybody that's bearing with me. You know, I know there's always ups and downs in this game, man, but I know for a fact that I'm really working hard to make sure that the next few pieces of content that I deliver to you guys is absolutely A1. So thank you for everybody supporting. For anybody that feels like they're not really feeling some of the last stuff I've dropped, just bear with me. I'm going to drop some really great stuff that you guys are really going to enjoy. So thank you so much. You know, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out here. Peace. Trapmore gang, it's a very unfortunate situation, but Rod Wave has been arrested, and he's apparently he's facing some serious charges in Atlanta, and he apparently is feeling that pain, man. Off the back of a very important career high for him, he was just nominated for a Grammy. His track Sinners, that's actually from the Sinners movie soundtrack. Okay, so like, man, it's like you're up one day and you're down the next. Because not long after this huge achievement was announced, he actually was stopped in Atlanta in his car, and they're now saying that he is facing drug and gun charges, man. Let's see the little clip.
New today, well-known rapper Rod Wave was arrested in Atlanta Friday on drug and weapons charges. Police say the rapper, whose real name is Rodarius Green, was taken into custody just hours after being nominated for his first Grammy Award. This is not Green's first run-in with the law. He was also arrested last May in Atlanta on 13 charges, including aggravated assault. We have reached out to Atlanta police to get more information about his latest arrest.
How crazy is that, right? Literally within hours of getting nominated for a Grammy. Okay, like within hours. Some people are upset. Okay, some people are saying Grammy equals jail. You know, everybody is saying he's throwing it all away. But look, all right, I would like to know more. And Double XL actually did provide a little bit more context on the situation, an article that they dropped. So here it says Rod Wave was found with a baby bottle filled with suspected lean and oxycodone pills during his arrest. It says that police found a baby bottle with suspected lean, oxycodones, and 2 firearms during Rod Wave's recent arrest on weapon and drug charges. The Florida native was arrested in Atlanta on November the 7th. According to an arrest warrant obtained by Atlanta New First Police, they observed Rod speeding through a stop sign in northwest Atlanta at 7:30 p.m. He appeared to be going 45 and a 35. An officer got behind the rapper, who eventually pulled into a nearby gas station. The officer turned on his headlights and ordered Rod to turn off his vehicle. The officer then assisted him out of the vehicle. Now that's a little bit ominous. Like, are they saying he needed help to get out the vehicle, or are they saying he wasn't trying to get out the vehicle, so they kindly assisted him with some force? I don't know. But it says they informed him he was under arrest for reckless driving, according to the warrant. And during a pat down, the officers discovered a 40 caliber Glock with a high capacity magazine in the crooner's waistband. I guess he is a crooner after all. Crooner, not a gooner. And police also discovered a baby bottle containing 1 fluid ounce of purple liquid. You got to be careful with that purple liquid, man. The officers suspected it to be lean, and in Rod's vehicle, they allegedly found more suspected promethazine along with oxycodone, a beige Sig Sauer P320 9mm gun. I don't know if that was a handgun. I don't know enough about guns. A backpack filled with bundles of cash. I'm sure that was legitimate money. The guy's nominated for a Grammy. Come on, give him a break. The police would then search Rod's passenger, Jamon Biner, and discovered a small amount of marijuana. That's the least of his worries, really, here. Rod was ultimately arrested and charged with reckless driving, 2 counts of possession of a controlled substance, and possession of a firearm or knife. And Biner was also arrested and charged with possession of a firearm, 2 counts of drug possession, and Rod and Biner denied ownership of the suspected narcotics. Rod Wave's attorney, Drew Findling, all right, so you know he's coming home. He's coming home yesterday, all right? He's released the following statement to Double XL regarding Rod's arrest. On November the 7th, the same day Rodarius Green earned a Grammy nomination, he was unjustly profiled and unlawfully arrested in Atlanta, the statement reads. The arresting officer belongs to the Atlanta Police Department's Controversial Crime Suppression Unit, a group known for its aggressive tactics and emphasis on high arrest numbers rather than genuine public safety. Mr. Green was targeted as part of this quota-driven approach, a practice that undermines justice and erodes community trust. We look forward to vigorously challenging this baseless arrest and the clear violations of Mr. Green's rights in court. Man, Drew Karen Findling, man, he always just spazzing out, throwing a tantrum, man. He about to get the entire Atlanta courthouse just disbarred somehow, you know what I'm saying? He was released from jail immediately afterwards. That was his mugshot there. It sounds like he posted bond. You know, Drew Findling. I don't know what kind of magic Drew Findling likes to do in the courtroom, but he's gonna come up with some crazy loophole, and somehow the officer's gonna end up in jail. But look, okay, let's just see how this works out. They're saying he's innocent, right? He's coming home, all of that good stuff, man. And if you got Drew Findling on the case, he definitely got that bag, okay? Now, some recent behind-the-scenes developments might actually give a little bit of backstory as to explain why Rod Wave might have been crashing out a little bit recently. And some people are saying it's kind of like the past repeating itself. So Rod Wave, let's go all the way back, right, and just recap some of Rod Wave's interesting and colorful past. So he actually grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida, not St. Petersburg, Russia, St. Petersburg, Florida. I'd much rather be there. And despite its small size, St. Pete has apparently been experiencing gang problems from as early as 2006, okay? There's been serious gangs there. They're saying Pinellas County is not immune to the neighborhood street gangs, okay? Even in St. Pete, the gangs are getting busy out there. It says the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office is concerned enough about street gangs that its intelligence unit is monitoring them. St. Petersburg has the most gang activities, but there are groups throughout the country that challenge law enforcement. Most are neighborhood gangs, says Detective Anthony Gentile of the Gang Intelligence Unit. They are named after the streets where they live, or neighborhoods, or even housing developments. The unit, under command of Sergeant Joseph Manning, investigates everything from street gangs to organized crime. Asian gangs with members from Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia have staked places like Pinellas Park and Lilman as their turf. There are followers and there are leaders, just like any place else, Gentile said. Some gang members are violent while others are not. The Asian gangs formed in Pinellas County after the Vietnam War. Different factions challenge each other, and there are fights and drive-by shootings. Though not common, they do happen. No one was ever hit by gunfire, but cars and homes have been damaged, Gentile said. There's now an upsurge in Hispanic gangs, and African-American gangs are prevalent in South St. Petersburg, while white gangs have been identified in the Clearwater area. So basically, it's a diverse place where, you know, every race, every creed is getting busy in the streets and turning to the gang life. It sounds like it's getting serious over there. Well, it was serious over there. This is old news. But it says calls to the Clearwater Police regarding gang activities in the city were not returned. The sheriff's office works with municipal agencies to keep tabs on local troublemakers. Nationally known groups such as the Bloods and Crips have been identified in Pinellas County, but police say they are independent of their California counterparts. Gentile said some gangs are organized enough to have written rules and regular meetings, though most are not. So look, this is where Rod Wave kind of grew up, and this is kind of some of the stuff that he was around growing up. And what's interesting, okay, is actually St. Pete's native actor and comedian Calamar White would actually explain on the In Departments podcast that the city is actually split between the wealthier north side and the less well-off south side. And, you know, we're talking about all these different gangs from different races. And I think what often happens is some people like to make the whole gang thing about race. I personally don't. It's really often about poverty. It's people that are driven, you know, to break the law and act kind of outside the confines of the law to try and make a living and get by, because, you know, they're maybe not getting the support that they need or that they deserve from society. And that leads to, you know, as we've seen here, you know, white gangs, black gangs, Vietnamese gang, all different types of gangs, Hispanic gangs, to have to, you know, go outside of the law to try and support themselves. And, you know, like I say, Calamar White kind of breaks down the streets of St. Pete's for us here.
Growing up, niggas,
Is it the east, west side, north side? Like, how's y'all city divided? Because I know all cities is different when it comes
Oh,
to
no, we just got north and south. Like, the south side where all the black people at. The north side is like where the white people at. You feel me? Like when niggas be catching plays and shit, niggas out finna go across the north type shit. You feel me? That way all the smokers and the buddies and shit at like that. But as you go deeper north, that's where like the fancy shit at. So when people from the south side say, I'm finna move away, I'm finna get away, they don't go nowhere. But deeper north, like, bitch, you still like right here kind of like.
Hey, you talking about you ain't went nowhere, nigga.
Like, yeah.
I find all this stuff kind of interesting, and I feel like, you know, it's so easy to just talk about, yeah, you know, the gang violence, everybody's killing each other, but it's like, you know, a lot of racism and segregation that had been prevalent for decades in America, I feel like the gangs and the inner city, you know, downtrodden areas where a lot of gang violence is going on, I feel like often they live in the shadow of this segregation that's happened years ago. I've talked in videos about redlining and how, you know, African Americans have been pushed into communities away from maybe the wealthier areas where white people kind of took over and they kind of ghettoized certain parts of America. And I feel like even decades on from, you know, the civil rights movement and you know, kind of like segregation at least officially formally being ended, I feel like you still unfortunately have communities that are not really getting a fair shake and not really being treated the same. And as he says, you know, you got the kind of the wealthy white communities in the north and a lot of the you know, downtrodden black communities in the south, and unfortunately those are the communities where people don't have enough opportunities and they have to resort to other means to try and feed themselves, to feed their families. And you got to have an understanding for that. That's not to say that we support and that we condone any, like, all blanket just violence, gang, yeah, just everyone break the law and do what you got to do. But it's like, it's all about having a deeper understanding of maybe the reasons why people do things. Now, Rod Wave himself, obviously, he's growing up around this environment, right? And by the time he reached middle school, he was undergoing a lot of hardships too that kind of made his life difficult. He actually revealed in an interview with DJ Small's Eyes that he actually lost his father. His father was kind of taken from him. He was locked up around 2006, and by the time he got to middle school, all of the real serious male role models in his life were no longer around, and that kind of made life a lot harder for him, and maybe is why that he, you know, was forced to get into difficult situations. Maybe that's why he had to feel like he had to carry a firearm even at this level of success where he's getting nominated for a Grammy. But let's just hear this.
How old were you when he went to prison?
Elementary school, like right before middle school, like that's when he came, like that's when he left.
How much time did he serve in prison?
6 years.
For what?
I'm in school, I used to look his shit up, like look his name up on the internet. Like I know he had like marijuana possession, attempted murder, tampering with state witness, shit like that. Like, and I used to like look his name up on like Google and shit, and my teacher be like, man, what you looking at? Shit right in my agenda, like he don't know if y'all want to be looking at this kind of stuff, but then what he looking at in school, you know what I'm saying? And my mom be like, stay off the internet. You know?
Man, that's super interesting, right? Like he's really, you know, going through this pain. Obviously, he makes this very emotional pain music now at this stage in his life when he's been successful, but he's talking about being a kid and essentially, you know, he's he's having to find out secondhand on Google that his father's facing serious charges, drug charges, attempted murder, all this kind of stuff, right? And it's not just his father, because apparently, you know, by the time that he was still growing up, and you know, all the way back, not just his father, but his uncle D would also later go to prison on drug charges too. So again, he's just losing all of these important people to the streets, and you know, all of these people around him that should be role models to him. He's growing up around this stuff. People are catching drug charges. So this is the article that kind of explains the drug ring that his uncle D actually ended up going to jail on. It says deputies say that drug ring is broken, and several people were arrested. I can't see how many people were arrested. Okay, it says 9 people were arrested, including 4 in St. Pete's. It said using rental cars and shipping companies, a St. Petersburg-based drug ring smuggled more than 8,000 pounds of marijuana from Mexico to Pinellas County in the last 2 years, the authorities said. Some of that pot ended up in the hands of street-level dealers, whose arrest in 2006 helped investigators begin to piece together the largest smuggling operation. On Thursday, after an 18-month investigation, authorities announced that they had broken up the ring and arrested 9 people on federal trafficking charges. 4 of the arrests were made in St. Pete's, and 4 in Tucson, Arizona, and 1 in Las Vegas. The operation was dubbed the Cannabis Express, involved local, state, and federal agencies, and seized a total of 2,000 pounds of marijuana and $150,000 in cash. The Cannabis Express, like, this a serious, this a real drug ring. This a big drug ring. You know what I'm saying? This is, they was really getting busy back then, okay? They're saying this is an organization that's done nothing but bring marijuana into Pinellas County, and we're shutting it down, said Captain Michael Platt, the head of Pinellas County Sheriff's Office Narcotics Division. He said, you take out an organization like this and you've kicked them in the shin. At the news conference on Thursday, Platt explained that the organization had members acquiring marijuana in Arizona and elsewhere. Smugglers would then repackage the drugs for shipment to Pinellas. Sometimes they used delivery companies. Other times they would hide the drugs in car door panels or hire drivers to ferry it across the country, Platt said. Shipments ranged from small quantities to several hundred pounds at a time, and authorities said more arrests are likely. The 4 men apprehended in St. Pete's were identified as Maurice C. Hemingway, 29, considered the local leader of the group, Antoine D. Cummings, 30, Derek L. Lane, and Aaron C. George, 23. Hemingway and Cummings have extensive criminal records in Pinellas, each with more than 20 arrests. So I've just looked it up, and I believe that it's actually Derek D. Lane, aka Uncle D. That's the person who's actually Rod Wave's uncle. So you know, he was part of the ring, and they're basically saying that, you know, it was a big arrest. Everyone got busted. He wasn't the ringleader, but there was a lot of activity going on. And you know, it goes to talk about kind of the criminal records of the people involved. But yeah, it did look like it was a pretty, you know, it was a pretty serious drug ring going on. And now with all of this going on, okay, his, like, you know, important male role models in his life getting jammed up and arrested for all these different things. According to Rod Wave, he started the life of crime at just age 13. He started stealing money around that age when he'd just become a teenager, and, you know, really kind of operating outside the boundaries of the law, like the male role models in his life did too. Let's see
when
what
my dad was gone, I was just getting into shit about money. Like, I had tried to get a job and shit, but I was too young, you know what I'm saying, for a real job. So, like, a couple niggas out the neighborhood were like, you know what I'm saying, like, breaking in cars. Like, them boys were hitting, like, 500, 600. They like 13, you know what I'm saying, these niggas hitting. So when I used to see that, I was like, damn, but I'm trying to get right, boy, just 600. I'll be straight for school clothes. Probably give my mama a little something. So when Pops was gone, like, I definitely got into it. It was just the people I was hanging around, you know what I'm saying, that showed me a lot of the shit. Because at first I had a plan, like, I'm going to get this job, stack this cheese, but that shit went where it was at.
So, you know, he's saying that originally he wanted to have like a straight job. He wanted to have, you know, get into honest employment. But he said everyone was hitting. They was hitting cars, getting 5, 6, like they was getting the bag. Okay. And basically the next year, things got even more serious. It got more than just stealing and, you know, robbing money from people. It actually got to the point where he was, you know, carrying firearms, and he was actually charged with shooting a teen with a stolen revolver. And he
like, the nigga tried to like niggas with a group of niggas, they tried to like take my gun. You know what I'm saying? But nigga, how you gonna take a gun from a nigga with, you know what I'm saying? You can't take a gun. Like, that shit ain't gonna go down like that. So I don't know if it was like deadly use of a firearm or whatever the shit was, but I had those 2 charges. But the nigga didn't press charges on me because, you know what I'm saying, like, nigga street nigga, so he ain't press charges on me, but the state kept trying to like pick my shit up, like, okay, he don't want to press charges, but we, you know what I'm saying, however that shit worked, like, I ain't even understand what the fuck was going on, but the main shit they were trying to fuck me up about that armed burglary though, like, arm yourself, got hit for the gun in the house.
So they was trying to put these charges on him, even though the person that he basically ended up shooting didn't want to press charges because they were all kind of on some street stuff and they basically all knew what they signed up for. But he said that the state was still trying to put them charges on him. So he was knowing what it's like to get on the wrong side of the law from a very young age. Now, according to Rod, after this incident, his father, who had just got out of prison at that point, sat him down and actually talked some sense into him, which just goes to show you, just because, you know, your dad's in the streets and getting involved in trouble like that, he can still sit you down and try and, you know, at least give you a little bit of guidance to give you a better life. And clearly Rod Wave went on to have much more success outside of the streets than in the streets.
Boy, that JDC shit, they gonna do it to your ass, you know what I'm saying? But me, I was lucky. My dad had just came home and he sat me down and was like, man, listen, he came to see me actually and was like, bro, this shit you doing serious, bro. Like, yeah, they gonna send your ass to prison, bro. Like, you think that shit spooked me. You know what I'm saying? So, but they let me walk on that one. You know what I'm saying? Like, but, you know what I'm saying? They were like, bro, your ass get in any trouble, boy. They gonna do it to your ass. Cause they want you, but you know what I'm saying? The state was like, they look stupid in the court, like, you know what I'm saying? He don't get in no trouble, he ain't never, you know what I'm saying? So none they could really like fuck me up by it. But
so he kind of got back onto, you know, got back on the straight and narrow path, right? And aside from, you know, one particularly widely reported incident where he apparently bought a pellet gun to school in 2017, he mostly stayed out of trouble and he stayed on kind of the righteous path for a period of time after this.
We're following breaking news out of St. Petersburg. Police just telling us that they've arrested a student for bringing a pellet gun to Lakewood High School. Officers say a teacher saw a photo on social media showing the 18-year-old posing with a gun. A school resource officer stopped that student and found the pellet gun in his backpack.
Now, that was apparently Rod Wave, okay? They're saying, bro, Rod Wave really pulled out a pellet gun at his own school, bruh. All right. Now, hopefully, Drew Findling can, you know, whatever sticks that Rod got caught with in that car recently, Drew Findling can have them reclassified as pellet guns. Hopefully, they was just pellet guns. You know what I'm saying? We'll be able to see him home soon and all of that stuff, man. But essentially, what's really interesting is eventually his Uncle D actually got out of prison after those serious charges where he was caught up in that big, you know, drug ring that they took down. Basically, he actually came back out and started managing Rod Wave. Like, Rod, you know, he was onto his music thing. His uncle came out and basically he was able to, you know, help him, not just help Rod kind of stay out of the streets, but then also for Rod to give his uncle an opportunity to use some of his street smarts and his business savvy to actually help him, you know, better navigate his career and protect him from you know, the dark, dingy kind of pitfalls of the music industry.
You got to be kind of pinpoint everything when I do it, you know what I'm saying, with Rod, everything. Even from getting that nigga to shows, from waking him up. Sometimes nigga, man, I had to go knock on the door. That nigga, when we got that little money from Alamo, man, that nigga buck, man. That nigga said, hey, want to get a sight. I be over there knocking every day, man, get up, man, we gotta go, man, we gotta get out here on this road, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So shit, that nigga was like, oh boy, without you, boy, I was going to get a sight.
What's like,
so this is Uncle D himself, right? And he's done an interview. Shout out to Revolt TV. I mean, kind of shout out to Revolt TV, but we know what Revolt TV's on, so you got to be careful. But I do like this interview. But Uncle D kind of got on this interview, shared stories from his past. This is definitely an interview worth checking out. But he was literally got to the point where he was actually, you know, dragging Rod Wave out of bed, waking him up, letting him know, like, yo, like, we're going to keep you on track. Like, you got a real opportunity here. I need to make sure that you are on point, okay? And I think that's really inspiring as far as, like, his uncle that was deep in the streets actually helping him kind of, you know, stay on track with his legitimate business, and I really respect that. Now, as time went on, okay, essentially from the start, like from Rod Wave's career kind of kicking off, he was always known for these kind of deep and really personal lyrics, and he would actually discuss one of his iconic lines from his 2019 track True Story in this Off the Porch interview, and I think it's interesting and relevant to what we're talking about today.
On True Story, you got this line that a lot of fans have been retweeting, saying that Jeezy told his trapper die, but then told his son to go to college.
yeah.
Do you feel like a lot of rappers are misleading the youth like that?
It ain't. What people misunderstood about that is some people don't want to hear the truth. People scared of the truth. You see what I'm saying? So a nigga like Jeezy, he done lived it. You done been there. You know what come with this shit.
Yeah.
You feel me? So for you to get on a song and tell niggas trap or die, you know, some niggas that's living like that, so he motivating others. But for the other niggas, you supposed to tell them, hey, nigga, if you ain't for that shit, don't even, you know what I'm saying? So for the kids and shit that's coming up, go to school, man, do something. Cause you ain't gonna get nothing but death or jail out of this shit. You feel me? So what I was telling them, you gotta tell both sides of that shit.
Yeah.
You feel me?
It's a really interesting point, right? And he brings up a very, very kind of like very deep, interesting dichotomy. And I think this is the type of thing why people love Rod Wave's music, is because he's talking about, yeah, Jeezy, you know what I mean? He basically, right, let me pull up the lyric real quick. It's from the song True Story, right? And you know, as far as like the context of what he says, he kind of explains like his past and his situation, right? You know, he says just had to keep going. When I was asked out, I told him F punching the clock, I'll break in houses with Kareem. And F your favorite rapper, he ain't as gangster as he seem. I done met a lot of rappers, they don't live the life they say they live. They don't do the things they say they did. Jeezy told us trap or die, but told his son go to college. I'm a bottom boy survivor, I made it out my apartments. Last year I was thinking about robbing the same rap dudes for some robins, but life go up and down like elevators. Who would have known that we would count hella paper? So it's like he's saying that, like, you know, he grew up listening to Jeezy and thinking, you know, he told his son to study and rise. He told your sons to trap or die. That is actually pretty ruthless, but it's kind of true. You know, he's saying you hear all of this media, it tells you to trap or die. It tells you got to trap, you got to get out there, but it's like, really, you don't actually want that for your own children. Like, you actually want the best for your children. And clearly when Rod Wave was younger, he was thinking he was going to be part of that culture. And slowly it took time. Even his uncle that had actually been through that had to come out, and his father had to tell him, like, yo, that ain't for you. And fortunately, they were actually able to get through to him and kind of save him from going down that route. But unfortunately, you know, that didn't actually necessarily save him or his family from kind of going down some of those paths once again. And by late 2023, things would shift again, because Rod's father actually ran into new legal troubles and picked up several charges. And he's currently still incarcerated, and he's set to be incarcerated into next year of 2026. So this actually is his father, Rodney Green. And, you know, he's basically on a hold of some pretty serious charges, basically. You know, he sentenced to 3 years. So that burglary of an occupied dwelling, aggravated stalking, tampering with witness, stalking, credible threat, aggravated stalking, and he was sentenced to 3 years. So he should be coming home in 2026. It's saying 7th of July 2026. But, you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, after everything that he kind of helped his son navigate to not go down the same path, he ended up getting caught up in some difficult situations. And that wasn't the end of the tragic losses for Rod Wave's family, man, because in 2024, his mentor and manager, Uncle D, would actually pass away. And, you know, people are saying that his death was really linked to struggles with mental health. And Rod Wave would actually open up about this on the Montreality YouTube channel.
Life, like, you just, sometimes you get so caught up in living, you forget about that. Like, some things some people you just never even imagine them dying. Sometimes you just picture a person burying you. You know what I'm saying? So, since a kid, dog, I never looked at death the way other people did. I always had a funny relationship with death. Like, I always looked at it from a bigger perspective.
And if you don't want to talk about this, it's okay, bro, but I would, you know, see if you want to take a moment to remember your Uncle D and what he meant. I know, like, you know, I'm just getting goosebumps and just thinking about it myself. I can't imagine how you feel, but if we can just dedicate a moment to remember his warm presence and everything he meant.
Yeah, Uncle D, man. You know, since a kid, dog, I never really took death the way other people do. I mean, that was one of them situations, though, where I just cried and cried and cried just because life, like, sometimes you get so caught up in living, you forget about that.
So clearly, you know, the loss of Uncle D, man, just really hurt him a lot and probably put him in a dark place. You know, he's saying that he gets so caught up in living, he forgets about death, but it's clear that one hit him hard. And that was someone who was not just instrumental to you know, his upbringing and his growth, but then also his career as far as Uncle D actually getting involved. Now, what is even more sad is that, you know, as time's gone on, even though he's had so much success in music, Rod Wave is still unfortunately getting caught up in street stuff. And I think everything that I've told you, including what I'm about to tell you, it all kind of contributes to why maybe, you know, he isn't somebody that wants to be caught lacking. He's maybe somebody that can't really be riding around without a firearm because of how serious it gets. Because just a month before this loss, apparently Rod Wave actually got caught up in a shootout, and the authorities would actually then link him to a St. Petersburg gang called the Young Gangsters. Fortunately, he wasn't charged in this case, but that kind of opened the door to people, you know, having a little bit more background knowledge about his gang and the streets and everything that he was involved in, man.
We're very fortunate that no one was killed.
St. Pete Police Chief Anthony Holloway sends a message after another shooting plagues the city. A barrage of bullets Easter Sunday after a late-night altercation between 5 people outside the Sonic Sports Bar and Lounge.
There was one individual that appeared to have an issue with someone else. He called over to the other 4 individuals.
The shots didn't stop. Police recovered 60 casings from the scene.
It's a mass shooting. It occurred. 4 people were shot. We can't overlook it.
20-year-old Kevontre Westby, 21-year-old Keith Westby, and 24-year-old Christopher Atkins, all found at this Manatee County home Wednesday morning, each charged with attempted second-degree murder, 5 rifles, 5 handguns, ammunition, $10,000 in jewelry used to identify them all, taken for evidence.
There was 5 individuals there. 3 have been charged. 2 more have warrants issued for them.
All involved with the group the YGs, or Young Gangsters, who police say have been seen with St. Pete-based rapper Rod Wave. Wave was detained and released when search warrants were executed at 2 homes in Pinellas and Manatee County. His connection to the group involved is clear.
The vehicles that were used, as well as the 2 residences, were in Mr. Green's name.
Tonight, the message from police to Rod Wave.
He's got to distance himself from crimes like this.
This while 4 people who police say weren't the intended targets recover from being shot.
You can't just randomly and wantonly shoot in a city at a crowd and
So unfortunately, okay, this is a situation that, you know, his name has been associated with, and it's definitely probably put him on the radar of the police. Now, obviously that kind of makes sense, right? The way that Drew Findling's saying it, that, you know, he was unfairly targeted and they're trying to hit their quotas. Now, it's not unthinkable that he might have been under surveillance after this incident, because they're saying the cars were tied to him, the people were connected to him, and all this kind of thing. And unfortunately, his next major legal situation would happen after an argument with his girlfriend. And, you know, this was reported on by 1090 Jake, where this argument apparently led to Rod firing multiple shots into her G-Wagon.
Followed. While the surveillance footage had no audio, it appeared to detectives that Rod Wave was arguing with his girlfriend. She could be seen yelling at Rod, who in return pulled out a Glock 20 10mm pistol from under his left arm, opening fire at his girlfriend's G-Wagon that he bought her for Christmas. The same G-Wagon posted on her Instagram. Detectives would count Rod's shot 14 times until the weapon was empty. 11 bullets would strike the G-Wagon, 1 round struck Rod's Rolls Royce, and 1 round struck a wall, while the 14th bullet was never recovered. While Rod was shooting, his associate was unfazed, as if he knew it was going to happen. He just continued to place things from the house inside of the SUV. Rod's girlfriend, on the other hand, ducked down and ran inside of the house in fear.
So apparently the girlfriend actually called the police, and, you know, it was basically suggested that Rod had tried to kind of cover up the crime scene and flee the scene. He's involved in a lot of stuff, you know. This is the last thing he really needs after everything else that happened.
She then ran from the house to a nearby neighbor, called her mother, telling her Rod Wave shot her car up, and telling her mom to call 911. Rod could then be seen on camera running through the front of the yard as detectives believe he was now panicking, knowing his girlfriend went to the neighbors to call the police. Rod's associate would also seem to panic as they both jumped into the SUV, but their exit was blocked by Mini Barbie's BMW. With Rod Wave driving, he'd reverse into the BMW in an attempt to push it out of the way, leaving his tires spinning. Pulling back up to the garage, Rod's associate would shut the garage door to prevent the shot-up G-Wagon from being seen. Rod would get out of the SUV while on the phone, and his associate would begin collecting shell casings. Rod would attempt to drive around the BMW, but ended up striking a staircase and blowing out his front tire, disabling the SUV. Getting out, Rod would grab shell casings near the windshield wipers, throwing them onto the stairs before calling someone else on his phone. Rod would lock the SUV, lock up the house, and leave through the back of the residence. Detectives would locate a damaged backyard fence, leading them to believe 300-pound Rod Wave broke the fence while escaping through the back.
Ah, man. Yeah, that's not the best way to go out, man. So look, Rod Wave is currently out on bail. Okay, he's still facing charges related to the incident and, you know, the drug and the gun charges. He's got a lot going on, man. But I hope this video can give you guys a bit of an understanding as far as like what he's been through, you know, some of the difficult backstory, you know, the difficult things that he's been through, maybe some of the situations that led him up to this point. And again, I know a lot of you look, All right, I just want to show that sympathetic side and just show like everything that this guy's been through has made him what he is today. You know, we all love Rob Wave's music, man. That pain music, that kind of emotional gangster blend is definitely something that's needed. I feel like when it comes to this gangster rap, this drill music, you know, sometimes it's like we're missing that sensitivity, and I think Rod Wave does a really great job of kind of towing that line. But clearly, you know, he ain't just a singer. He really been through some real situations. His life nearly went that other direction. He's unfortunately still getting caught up in a few things, but I wish for him I wish for him the best. He got Drew fiddling in his corner, so you know what I'm saying, he already came home, but you know he's going to beat these charges. You know it's going to be all good for him. It's all love. And, you know, I ain't heard nothing about no Rod Wave having nobody killed, having no pits put out on people. You know, it sounds like he's definitely troubled. And, you know, he's caught up in a few situations. His past is definitely catching up with him. But I hope that he can get over these things, move forward from these things positively. I don't feel like he's done anything that he can't come back from. You know, not everybody can say that, unfortunately. So I hope you found that interesting, man. Appreciate you guys, all the Trap Disciples, man, that have been following the videos. We're getting busy. I've been dropping videos. I'm going to kind of speed things up. If you haven't noticed, okay, we're speeding things up on the channel today, okay? I've been hitting a few stories back to back, and we're just trying to I'm just trying to keep you guys fed. I'm trying to feed the streets with this content, you know, and I got a few more things that I want to react to. I got a couple of non-hip-hop things that I want to react to soon, so stay tuned for all of that, man. It's going to be a good few days of content, and I'm cooking. Trust me, I wish I could tell you what I'm cooking, but I can't even tell you what I'm cooking. It's top secret, but it's going to be lit. Appreciate you, gang. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out here. Peace.
Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Good to have you here. I got a lot to go through. This is true crime for the full hour, so buckle up. Okay, for starters, we got some movement in the Melody Buzzard case. And if you don't know this case, quick, here it is. 9 years old. She disappears. Her mom is not helping to find her. Police are releasing bits and pieces of pictures of her, including this cross-country trip she took with her mom. Now we are learning that mom got some moving boxes over the weekend. And along with that wig, mom is refusing to answer the door again for the cops. So what are they doing now? Are they looking for Melody alive or dead? I've got two detectives on tonight who know the drill. They're going to tell me everything about what that car outside that's parked 24/7 is watching for and what the next shoe to drop in the case is going to be. Also, I got to get you back up to speed here on the David and Celeste case. I've got some movement. Even though the cops aren't saying anything, that doesn't mean nothing's happening. For starters, it looks like the long-awaited toxicology tests might actually be coming through soon. Of course, Celeste is the underage girlfriend of the, music star on the right, David. He goes with David only, D4VD. And that girlfriend was woefully underage when she was found dead and rotting in the trunk of his car. He still hasn't been charged. I know. What? It's been weeks and weeks. What exactly is happening in this investigation? But now we are also learning that there was evidence he left
Trapmore gang, it's time to assemble because we have got a
saw someone standing in the
We
alley
on to the
between
next
houses
one, man. We going.
on my left. They were severely out of place. It was someone wearing dark clothing, a baggy jacket, and a a black and white Mickey Mouse mask. Its soulless eyes staring directly at me.
Where we going, man?
As soon as I saw him, I burst into tears.